Take off my windbreaker? Well, if you insist.
On my mobile. Waiting to board my flight. So pardon the formatting. Etc. Tonight. I have to fill in for a friend who is in a lounge band for one of the strip hotel casinos in Vegas. Got the call this morning, so I dropped everything and booked a flight. In my haste, I skipped putting on a shirt and just slipped into a windbreaker. Fast forward to the TSA checkpoint here at the airport. Mean lady is loudly instructing everyone to take off your jackets, belts and footwear and place them on the tray. Quote. So shoes and belt are on the tray. Mean lady confronts me. Sir, your jacket needs to be on the tray. I try to politely tell her that I don't have a shirt underneath. She moves back and loudly says, Sir, we practice social distancing. Please keep your distance. Quote. At this point, I have no choice but to speak loud enough for her and everyone else to hear me. I say, I'm not comfortable getting naked in a public setting. At this point, people in line were looking at the commotion. Mean lady was indifferent and perhaps oblivious to what I just said. She sternly instructs, take it off and place it on the tray. Quote. I do as she says. Another TSA agent, perhaps a superior, walks over and asks mean lady, why are you having this gentleman strip here? She tries to explain that she merely asked everyone to put their jackets on their trays. The family in line, directly behind me, interjects. This man explained that he's wearing this garment as his main body covering and your agent still insisted that he take it off. TSA superior dude tells me that I can put my windbreaker back on and waves me through. On the other side, as I put my shoes and belt back on, I see a different TSA agent working the line that I was on. I hate TSA officers who act high and mighty. I once had a little 1-ounce hand lotion in my purse and the guy accused me of having a sharp object inside. After seeing it was lotion, he still threw it away. Anyways, I'm glad she got called out. The story goes that they once asked some woman to take off her cashmere sweater. She looked at TSA and said, you'd better have some good music and a lot of singles before I do that. This reminded me of my dad's story. He made a mistake wearing a pair of shorts with a belt that was attached. The TSA, I think was male but IDK, so will be TSA, told him to remove it. He explained and they ignored him, telling him the belt had to come off. So he stripped to boxers. Then the TSA supervisor said he couldn't go through without pants. So he was stuck standing in between the two TSA ones saying belt off. 'Cause they did repeat it when my dad put his shorts on. And the one saying pants must be on for a good while before they figured out to let him go through with the belt and just screen further. What the fuck, TSA? You're going to look at my junk and somehow you miss this. Last time I went through airport security was during my family trip to Universal Studios in Florida. And I forgot about the metal Harry Potter pins I put in my bag and I got accused of having a throwing star and got yanked out of line to be pat down. I was 16 and very confused, lol. TSA, not exactly from the deep end of the IQ pool. Funny story, not MC. Our airport security are nowhere as narcissist but still job the job. BF and I are going through security and BF get the metal alarm while walking the main scanner. Does this several times. No belt, wallet, coins or phone, so the nice lady decides to hand scan. It goes off around the green area. From across the 3 aisles of security, a fellow gay friend who is head of security that day yells, I know him. That will be his cock ring. The poor lady went bright red and waved us through. Thek secure area had a quiet giggle. I think he was reprimanded as we never saw him again. I went through and missed a dime in the little lighter pocket on my Levi's. Got the full sensual pat down by TSA officer Brad. Ball sack brushing and all. While my traveling co-workers were standing there laughing their asses off. God forbid they take the dime out and just rescan. But hell no. Have to do the full pat down. Tried to keep in touch with Brad afterwards. Thought we had something special. But then I saw him not only 2 minutes later patting down someone else. God. I hate air travel. We had one incident with TSA in Denver. My youngest has type 1 diabetes and was 16 years old and on just an insulin pump at the time. We knew they would need a pat down and the pump swab tested. And my kid was fine with it. The TSA agent tried to make them go through the scanner. Even with documentation from the pump manufacturer saying the pump should not be scanned. The agent was still trying to make them go through. I caught up at that point and found out what was going on. I calmly said, "My child is wearing a $6,000 medically necessary piece of equipment. Are you prepared to replace it?" Quote. So my youngest got the pat down. TSA are nothing but idiots. I went through one time and forgot I had a bottle of water and they didn't even catch it. Were more worried about all the change I had in my bag. Facepalm security. In 2019, my family was flying home from Orlando to Toronto, and while waiting to get through security, they kept announcing that children 12 and under didn't have to take off their shoes. Kept saying it over and over as we got closer. Finally I looked at the guy and he looks toward my son and says, "Only 12 and under don't take off their shoes." I looked at my son, then back at the guy. He turned 12 10 days ago. Not my fault, my son was already taller than that guy. As a 15-year-old, I went on an exchange program with a group to Japan. 20 15-year-olds and 2 middle-aged women to supervise. 2 of the boys were given samurai swords as gifts from their host families as they left. Unfortunately, they were too large to fit in any suitcases, so the boys decided to just take them as carry on. We got to the airport fairly early and a bunch of mostly blonde, surfy Aussie teenagers tends to attract attention. We checked in bags, but once we tried going to the gate, the problems began. The 2 minders had gone through at the front of the group and cleared immigration, security. I was at the back of the group with the 2 boys, and so when it got to putting their bags onto the X-ray, I realized there was going to be a problem and those 2 minders were going to be useless. The 2 boys in question were both pretty big, 6 feet plus, and played rugby, so rather imposing for the slight Japanese security team, and they weren't wanting to give up their new swords. I tried bargaining that the swords could be put into the hold as extra baggage. By this point, the kerfuffle had been going on for a while and we were waiting for various people to make a decision. The Japanese officials were certain that they would confiscate the swords and the boys weren't budging on keeping them. Queue entry of 2 Qantas pilots who were going to be flying our plane back to AUS. They thought the whole thing was quite hilarious and decided that they would take the swords as their own baggage into the cockpit. This caused even more stress with the poor Japanese officials. But I think they were secretly relieved that they didn't have to do anything or take on the boys. After the plane landed back in AUS, the pilots greeted us at the front of the plane with the swords. Their suggestion was not to try flying with large weapons in the future. I went through TSA recently and most people were wearing hoodies or zipped, buttoned-up winter jackets, and those people didn't have to take off their jacket. I was wearing a long thin cardigan that didn't have the ability to close. And like UOP, it was a mandatory part of my outfit because the outfit I was wearing under was a bit revealing on its own. Guess who had to take off their jacket because for whatever reason the scanner can't scan opened jackets? Overpaid security theater that has yet to stop a single incident. Once saw a woman, late 40s, lots of tats, a little overweight, but not much, wearing a jacket blouse that had metal zippers and buttons everywhere. TSA told her to take it off, so she did and walked through the metal detector in her bra. Nothing obscene, but funny as hell. This TSA sounds like power-hungry Reddit mods. OFC not from this sub. Closing parenthesis. My dad's luggage scared the TSA because a lead crystal owl looks like a grenade to X-rays. Haven't read yet, but just like non-native speakers, such as me, that apologize for bad English after a perfect English sentence. You apologize for bad formatting. With a post formatted better than a lot of posts in this sub. I used to fly a lot for work all over the US. I would dress uber casual sometimes when flying, unless I had to go directly to the job site when I landed. My normal work attire of slacks and dress shirt was nothing like my casual wear at the time. One day, I was flying out of Philadelphia and going through screening. I had on a pair of riding boots, some torn up jeans, and a black biker t-shirt on because it was comfy for me. I had taken off my belt and placed it in my carry-on. I get through body screening without issue and I am waiting for my bag. A TSA agent pulls my bag up in front of me, places his hand on it, and says, "Is there something in this bag that might look like a gun?" I respond with, "It's probably my belt buckle. It looks like a Harley V twin engine." The TSA agent didn't even open my bag to confirm. He just slid it over to me and said, "I thought it was something like that. Have a good flight." Literally. He could have taken 10 seconds to open the bag to confirm. But he took my word for it. Many years ago, my mom had dislocated her kneecap and was given a brace by the doctor that had these containers on the outer side of each knee that contained the pins, screws. No idea what the terminology is. Forgive me. That would adjust the tension in the brace. Shortly after that time, maybe in 9th or 10th grade at the time, my mom and my brother, in 2nd grade, were traveling, and my mom was wearing her fancy brace. She forgot to take it off and put it in the trays for the X-ray and got pulled aside for additional screening. My mom might as well have been speaking to a wall because the TSA agent with her completely ignored her when she explained it was a brace given by the doc for her dislocated knee. Details are foggy at this point, but TSA scanned it with the hand scanner. Flagged something. Got a second agent who put on gloves and swabbed the inside of the containers, and the outside of the brace itself. Tested for something. And walked around with his hands away from him spread wide open as if he had toxic materials on his hands. And then took my mom into a private room for additional questioning, testing. They let her go after about 20 minutes. Meanwhile, I'm standing with my brother just past the security line trying to keep my brother calm, who was getting increasingly nervous. I have no clue what they were looking for, but for some reason they felt the need to go through all of that just for a leg brace.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epicaricast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.